Michigan wins it by 1, and they advance to the Big Ten tournament title game on Selection Sunday. 81-80, the final in Indy. Michigan prevails. Welcome in to the Michigan basketball postgame live show. And March Madness taking a crazy turn for Michigan. Not many folks, myself included, had Michigan winning many ball games in the Big Ten tournament or NCAA tournament, but here they are. They win 2 straight and they crashed the party, whatever you want to say. They earned the double bye, and now they have a chance to win the Big Ten tournament title with a date with the Badgers of Wisconsin, who beat Michigan State earlier in the day. 3:30 tomorrow on CBS. 6 o'clock is the selection show. And for U of M, how about the Wolverines? This was not a game for the faint of heart. This was a game that would have worn out your fingernails. This was a game that I thought Michigan was going to win, and I thought they were going to cruise to the victory, and then I thought they were going to lose it in devastating fashion, and I thought, hey, they're going to win it again. Well, they're making it, but then I thought they were going to lose it again. And then you got to make your free throws, missing the front end of a 1-and-1. And it's like, you've seen it. You just got to do that. And then Maryland was getting, the whistle in this one. I'm one that thinks the whistle from the referees ends up evening out. But in this one, Queen from the Terps, the refs were in love with him. Queen could just do no wrong, and you breathe on Queen, and they're giving him the foul, and Reuben Jones, it was a little bit of I call it a phantom foul, certainly a ticky tack. I was ready for Raph to call it a ticky tack foul. He didn't, and he drained the free throws. It looked like Michigan. They only had, what did they have there at the end? Let's just take a look. They had 5.3 seconds to go and down 1, and they inbounded the ball. I think it was to Vlad, could have been Danny Wolf, but he just handed it right there to Trey Donaldson, who took it right down the middle of the court, took it right into the paint, took it right to the goal, switched his hands, left-handed layup, and went through with 0.1. They looked at it, 0.4. They ended up giving 0.3, 0.4 for the Terps, and they weren't able to convert the baseball pass into the front court, and Michigan comes away with a thrilling victory. At this time of the year, you could say, if this was earlier in the year, you'd say, oh, man, Michigan turning the ball over. A lot of wild stats in this game. Michigan with a huge – they had a plus 15 rebounding advantage at the half. You wouldn't have guessed that. They had also committed 9 turnovers at the half, and they turned it over a ton in this game. Or you'd say it's one of those, if you'd have told me before the game that what do you think, Michigan turns the ball over with 9 at the half, and even though they were up by 4, and then they end up turning it over 19 times in the game, and some wild turnovers, man. Ones where you're just like, it's part of this team's makeup, man. They're gonna step on the out of bounds line. They are going to step on the sideline. They are just going to throw it out of bounds. They are just going to make 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 turnovers that are inexplicable, or they're ones that you put in the category good teams don't do that, and yet here they are with a chance to win the Big Ten tournament title by the numbers, anyone you want to look at it. SEC had a phenomenal year. They were the best conference, but Big Ten's number 2, and here's Michigan with a chance to cut down the nets tomorrow in Indianapolis, which would really be a real nice moment. Feather and Dusty Mace cap, say whatever you want. Championship ring for the tournament, nice little run, validating the regular season, getting them here. Very nice. It's a very nice thing, and it gives you a lot more hope and excitement about Michigan in the NCAA tournament already. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I already feel where last night was a real jolt, and then winning a game like this in the manner that they did, the back and forth. I mean, this was March. This is what they talk about right next to the. Somebody says, what's March Madness? To say, oh, that's Michigan, Maryland. Back and forth, close calls. Everything, the shots, and there it is. And then Donaldson with the thrilling basket at the end. That's March Madness, and Michigan's a part of it. Michigan is one of the last two teams standing in the Big Ten Conference, and on the eve of Selection Sunday, you should have a big smile on your face if you're a Michigan fan, and you do have it. I'm going to take the feedback. I'm going to, you go through this game. There's a million different things you could talk about. And I don't know how interesting it is, so I'm going to run through just a synopsis of this game, the semis today. Michigan was up at by 4 at the half. They had a 15 rebounding advantage at the break, but 9 turnovers. So, you're thinking, all right, they're in it. I didn't think Michigan played really well. They were passing. They seemed like they were doing a good job hammering it inside. That was their game plan. I liked that. And yet the numbers didn't, when you looked at it, it just didn't look like Michigan had really played well. And I didn't think Maryland played all that well either. And then, but U of M was up. But then you combined with how the end of the first half and then the beginning of the second half, Michigan jumping out to the double-digit lead and then the 15-point lead. And it was an 18-0 combined run from the first and second half. And, you're sitting back and saying, wow, Michigan's looking pretty. But the Terps would come back. They slapped together a 14-0 run themselves to get back there and take the lead. And you had Queen putting the Terps up with just over 8 minutes to go with really an outstanding drive on the baseline. Barishnikov, I think Grant Hill said when we threw that one up there. But then Danny Wolf came back with 6 minutes to go, and he put U of M ahead. And then you knew, this one was going to go and ping pong back and forth, and it was going to come down to the end in a tight one. And then Trey Donaldson hit a 3 with just under 30 seconds to go, 27.9. And I thought that was going to be the play of the game. That I thought was going to be the dagger for Michigan to win it, but it wasn't. Angel Reese's brother gets a layup, and then, so you're playing the foul game, and if you are going to advance, I'm saying this, and we already know what happened, you have to make your free throws at the end of the game. You let the other team back in it. And then Danny Wolf, who had canned a few free throws late in the fourth, he definitely made 2. I'm ready to say he made 4, but then he blows the front end of the 1-and-1, and you're thinking, well, that's the kiss of death. And then Queen gets fouled on what I thought was a questionable call, ticky-tack. Reuben Jones outside. He makes both free throws, and then that sets up Trey Donaldson's heroics, who drives end-to-end and gets the layup to win it. Vlad Golden was awesome in this game. 25 points, 10 boards. Michigan was trying to feed the big man. He was flexing. He hit a 3. He was selling popcorn at the half. Mad Vlad was fabulous for the Maize and Blue. Danny Wolf, pretty good himself, besides those missed free throws at the end. But, he was gassed. Danny Wolf needs a rest. Danny Wolf needs to go back to the hotel right now and sleep until 3 o'clock tomorrow, and then get him back up, patch him up, put him out there, and let's see what happens. 21 and 14 and 4 for the Wolf of State Street in 34 minutes of play. Trey Donaldson has had 2 nice games. He's the hero with the game-winning basket as time was running out. 12 and 3 points, but the 3-pointer late, and then those last 5 points, pretty clutch shots for TD. Damari Burnett was in double figures with 10 and 4. Reuben Jones, 2 points, 2 boards. Rody Gayle Rody Gayle Jr. had a nice game yesterday. I don't think Michigan beats Purdue if it wasn't for Rody Gayle. Would Michigan have beat Maryland today if it wasn't for Rody Gayle? Probably not. It was wild. They ran a play for Rody Gayle at the end of the half, and he had a dunk. Rody Gayle hit a three, and everyone knows when you're somebody like Gayle and you're shooting under 20% from 3-point range, and the ball comes to him, everybody thinks, "Oh my God, he's going to turn it over!" And then he does something positive. It's almost worth 4, 5, 6 points when he does something positive. But it was back to the beginning of the year where Gayle would do things. He's going to do 3 or 4 things in a game where you're like, oh man, that was a pretty sweet move by Rody Gayle. And then he'll make 3 or 4 plays where you're like, this guy shouldn't even be out on the floor. This guy's a joke. This guy, you're putting the ball in his hands to break the press. He gets the ball and he immediately throws it to the other team. What are you doing? What are you doing, Dusty May? What are you doing, Rody Gayle? And that was one of those Gayle games. 3 or 4 great plays, 3 or 4 gaffes, and there he is. I mean, that's the book on Rody Gayle. Rody Gayle, you got to hang in there if you're a Michigan fan. You got to buckle up when he's out on the floor because he gets the ball, and there's no telling what's going to happen. He might throw it into the 4th row. He might do some kind of quick Euro step where he's lost in the air, but then ends up scoring. For Will Cheddar to just have 2 points and 2 rebounds and an assist, he brought some toughness in those 15 minutes of play. There was a sequence in the second half when he was standing tall. He took a charge. He went down on the floor. I liked, I like, you give me, and this is silly, but it's one of those things. Give me 7 Will Cheddars. Give me 8 Will Cheddars. And I'm going to win something. And Cheddar is getting the acclaim for coming up with 2 points, 2 boards, and a feed. I like him. And I liked what he brought to the table for Michigan today. Stat of the game, I give you the TD winner, but I'll give you the free or the rebounding, where Michigan ends up getting 47 rebounds and the Terps only collect 14. Are you kidding me? Michigan, this is one of those things. Michigan pounding them on the glass. It wasn't an aberration of the plus 15 in the first half. They damn near doubled them up like that in the second half. They played physical. They got after the ball. They played like there was no tomorrow. They played like it was tournament basketball, like they flipped the switch and went after it. We hadn't seen that all year long from Michigan. We really haven't. And so, here we are. We had seen the turnovers, but we had not seen the team on the positive side rebound like they did. Pretty amazing play of the game. I was going to go with Trey Donaldson's 3 with 27.9 left that put Michigan up by 3. But, of course, they almost lost it after that. But Trey Donaldson came back to win the game with the layup with under a second to go, 81-80. That, of course, is going to be your play of the game. And Michigan now, on the eve of Selection Sunday, has run their total up to 24 wins, 24-9. And again, they'll play Wisconsin tomorrow at 3:30 for the championship. I'm interested to see what you have to say about the game today, about the game tomorrow, about Michigan heading into the NCAA tournament, the whole ball of wax. I think when you are a team that gets eliminated in a conference tournament and your seed's pretty much set, that if you're a fan, you shake it off pretty quick and you just say, we'll take the rest. On to Selection Sunday. Let's go for the NCAA tournament. You might even say negative things about a conference tournaments. That goes, I've seen it since they've started with these tournaments. You get bitter really quick and you move on really quick. Meanwhile, if you're in it and you make this run, you feel like it's a little bit of magic with this. And these tournaments, if you're able to win 3 games against 3 quality opponents, it really it's different. You don't get the rest. I mean, it is grueling. And 3 games in 3 days. Some teams, heck, you've seen teams go with 6 games in 6 days, but 3 and 3, and it's special. There's no taking anything away. If Michigan wins tomorrow, they have won a championship, a tournament championship, and it is it is right there with Michigan State winning the regular season championship. The rings are about the same. Now you could say, well, which one do you really think is worth more? I think because it's the bulk of the season, I always feel like the regular season is a better, but it's splitting hairs in winning a championship. I know you want something that, and if you're trying to make a case, consecutive days and what you have to do, it's different. And there's no reason to do anything except celebrate it if you have a chance to be able to win one. That's how I feel about it. I know that might not fit perfectly with the a narrative that you want, like if you want to shove it down Michigan State's face or whatever, but that's just where I'm sitting. That's how I feel as I sit here right now. I'm going to go to the feedback. I want to see what the people have to say about this one. Keith says they are a hard watch. Yeah, it's been this way all year long. And Keith, if they would have fizzled out last night against Purdue, it would have been like, you would have need to, it wasn't a reach, but while everyone else is celebrating and everybody else is joining in, the bulk of college basketball fans are just now jumping in and getting involved. And some don't even, watch today. It's all about next week. And if Michigan would have lost last night to Purdue, and then, who knows about the tournament, Michigan fans would have been like, yeah, well, it was a nice season. Dusty May did a good job, and, Michigan was able to get into the NCAA tournament. All the things that were true, but while everybody's celebrating and the spotlight is on the sport, Michigan would have fizzled out, and it was a little bit of a reach. I think as the days and weeks and months, you look back and say, okay, they did all right. But now this is the way they played all year long. And, they validated being a second place team, the second place team in the Big Ten, and winning 20 plus games. And it really freshens the team up and validates May and Michigan this year. Not only did they win the 20 plus odd games and get into the NCAA tournament, they made the Big Ten tournament title game. That's a hell of a year. It went from, hey, nice job getting into the tourney, nice job, to, hey, hell of a job getting into the Big Ten tournament title game. And then we'll see what happens from here. But I understand that. Yeah, the Wolf of State Street was gassed and missed the front end of a 1-1. Here's the nice thing, Jesse, if you play sports, team sports. It's nice to have your teammates pick you up. And Trey Donaldson picked up Danny Wolf. Danny Wolf's a real nice player, but he's not a great free throw shooter. And he has been known to blow a lot of free throws late. And teams hunt him out to put him on the stripe. They're going to do it tomorrow. If it's a close game, they're going to do it in the NCAA tournament. And it's a knock on him. But his teammates have been able to get his back. And there's a lot of, when you're talking about team sports, picking up your teammate is something that's very valuable. Well, it's a good. I would have to look at the Rip is asking why are they giving it to Wolf to shoot free throws. Well, the other team just guards everyone else, and they leave Danny Wolf alone. That's part of it. I'd have to look at the breakdown. That's my short answer. The other team wants it to go to Danny Wolf. Danny Wolf is their second. This is the tough part. Danny Wolf is also their second best ball handler. After Trey Donaldson, it's not Rody Gayle. I'd rather have Danny Wolf. Bringing it up with the ball 6 feet high. The 7-footer. So that's it. Yeah, I'm usually not one that likes to get involved into the refereeing and everything, but yeah, the Queen stuff was a joke. Let's see. Oh, these are people that were in the chat while the game was going on, and people are getting in here. Let's see what SW Lion 26 is saying. He says the turnover bugaboo returns, but at least they are playing better basketball. I wish they could get the turnover issue under control. Yeah, what did Dusty say? Was it right at the half with the Wolf? Not Danny Wolf, Tracy Wolfson. Yeah, or it could have been during the second half or the first half interview. Yeah, that turnover thing, he mentioned it. Yeah, they turn it over too much. That's something that is going to prevent you from getting to the Final Four. Is that what we're talking about now? I got to say, that's going to prevent you from getting to the Big Ten tournament title game. No, it's not. CK hates this team. No, he loves this team. Yeah, I completely understand how you feel about that. Fancy. Danny does as much damage as good once again. Donaldson saves our butts. Yeah, I could sit around and say, hey, Fancy, Danny does a great job in the other, 38 minutes or 39 minutes. Give him a break, but you got to be able to make them, it's about how you finish. It's about being able to step up to the charity stripe and knock him down, and he couldn't. Yeah, he was out of gas. Yeah, he was playing a lot of minutes. Yeah, he had made some earlier, but, he makes some, and you don't leave it up to Trey Donaldson and the heroics. T-Star talking about Vlad had it at the end and basically handed it to Wolf. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. But you're right. I think everyone here, everybody that follows Michigan would rather have Vlad up at the charity stripe than Wolf. There's no doubt about that. Rep commenting in on my voice. It's much better. Must have gargled some blue cheese. I wasn't screaming at my puppy. So that ended up working out. So there it is. BK talking about the officials. Green got away with several travels and a delay of game in their first few scores. Yeah, the whistles did not even out. There was a makeup call one time. I think it was when Queen, and was it against Reuben Jones, where he shoved him in the chest, and Grant Hill's like, oh, you get a little discard. Then he looked back and he's like, no, he just gave him a forearm shiver. And then the next call down, Wolf or Golden got a call. It was a classic makeup call. That's what it looked like. And then I think Michigan, maybe even on that same possession or the next one, they got another call. And it's like, oh wow, maybe this is evening up. But then it was tilted towards Maryland. Oh, look, Maryland's very aggressive. They drive the basket. Queen finishes off. He's an odd player. He's a tough player to officiate. I know this is their job, and I'm not taking up for him because I think they the Terps got the whistle. But Queen, at his size, is able to finish off of either leg. Not a lot of players are able to do that. So he's quirky. He's got some of this side to side. He's so big. He's got the Euro step. And a lot of times you get away with stuff when you're that size and you have that kind of footwork. And he was getting away with that, and the other guys were as well. So, yeah, I mean, that's it. A 3-banger and then a coast-to-coast hammer. I like how you said that one. Let's go. CK, stop with the BS. The refs always control the game. Yeah, well, CK, guess what? There's going to be officials out there tomorrow, and you're going to say the same thing. There's going to be officials in every game next week, and you have to deal with it. They're human. They have the whistles in their mouth, and they have a job to do, and guess what? They're going to screw it up. So what are we going to do? Don't watch. If you're someone that's just going to scream and yell about the refs and it takes away from the game, then you shouldn't watch. You certainly shouldn't bet on it. I look at it like if it doesn't even out in the game, it evens out over the course of a season. And if it doesn't even out in the course of the season, over a course of a couple seasons, it will even out. And you might not like that answer, and you might be ready, but that's just how I roll. I've had the whistle in my mouth and called some games and had people screaming and yelling. I know it's hard. You go out there, CK, and call the game. You'd be out there calling, travel. You to call every call for Michigan. And that's the other thing. When you're a big, CK, you're probably, this is good. You guys, everybody's a big homer and everybody's a big fan and everything else. When you're a big homer and you're a big fan your entire life, the only thing you do, and I went to the Michigan-Maryland game on Ash Wednesday, 10 days ago. And what everybody was doing, every call, from I was in the upper deck, boo! That's what everybody does. When you do that your entire life, you can't look at anything objectively. So what are you even talking about? Michigan got a bad whistle today. So you stop with the BS of you coming in here. Jones did nothing, says Rip. Yeah, he hit a 3 early on. I don't know. Would you take him out and put Rody Gayle into the starting lineup? No, I don't think that Dusty will do that. He's still a player that when you've had this winning streak, you've got a rotation, you've got something going, you've got some momentum. So you don't mess with that. If Michigan wins tomorrow and Gayle has a strong performance, like he has the last stronger performance than Jones, because you think about changing that up, yeah. I would guess that if Michigan wins tomorrow, you're going to see the same starting lineup for whoever they play in the NCAA. They lose, and, you're looking at it. I don't think it's like a sure thing, like just roll it out. That's it. It was a nail biter. Donaldson is the key to this team. Yeah. Michigan's best player is Vlad Golden. They want to pound the ball into Vlad Golden. He is a difference maker. He can foul the other team out. He throws it down with a big right hand. He can catch the ball. I mean, he's an amazing player. He's Michigan's best player. So, he's their best player. Followed by Wolf in the area 51, the 4-5 screen and roll with other teams. You see the size. And you see what Vlad was able to do defensively against some of those bigs against Maryland. That was a pretty big deal. And then Wolf was in there battling for those rebounds, and he's 7 feet. I don't think he jumps too much. He doesn't have to. But he's in there, and he's tearing down some rebounds. Those are Michigan's best two players. But if we're going to, and you look at the top three, well, that's where Donaldson comes in. And Donaldson is the key because he's not their only ball handler, but he's their best ball handler. And he's their only guard that you really can trust. You can't trust. You don't want Rody Gayle. LJ Kason, he's coming along. And freshmen, people give them more breaks, I think, than it's just the way it is. People think like, oh, he's going to be a superstar. He's not a superstar yet. And he does a lot of things. He's in a lot of ways, Kason reminds me of Rody Gayle, a freshman Rody Gayle. Those guys, you never know what's going to happen with the ball. Burnett's not a guard. Jones, Burnett's Burnett can drive the lane, he can make some incredible moves. He's their best 3-point shooter. but you don't want him bringing it up. And I don't know, Reuben Jones, does he ever bring the ball up? So, yeah, that's why Donaldson is the key. He's got to run the offense. Either that or it's got to be Danny Wolf. Here's some more ref talk. I've already said Michigan's a great day for Michigan. There's no reason for me to be, screaming and yelling. And I never win the argument. So, hey, yeah, the refs suck. Let's just go with it. I'm there. Let's do it. Rip talking about the 19 turnovers. Yeah, it was a 3 by Gayle that made it seem like it was a 4-pointer. So that's it. Let's see. Lord Dog saying it's been a successful season already. It was a successful season even before they beat Purdue yesterday. It's just a matter of when everybody's starting to watch, it rings a little hollow if Michigan would have got bounced yesterday to sit around saying, oh, it's already been a successful season. Now they're rested for, and then, if they would have got bounced in the NCAA tournament, well, at least they made, it would have rung a little hollow to me, Lord Dog. So, I mean, it's like, nice job, Michigan, pat him on the head. I got it. And again, I know after a couple of weeks and months, I would have been saying the same thing. But here we go. What's this garbage? Peacock is the worst entity of all time. There's no argument for Peacock doing anything well. Peacock is horrible. They're an abomination to sports. I hate Peacock. So I don't know what this is. Somebody saying Peacock is actually better than CBS. I don't know what you're talking about. That's one of the worst things I've ever. It's the worst take I've ever seen, Brian. I don't know what you're saying. You're responding to someone else. So I don't know. Maybe you guys have had a few drinks. Hey, Peacock! Oh, and there's another thing. Look, you get a couple drinks in you, and you're watching the officials, and you're screaming and yelling. What's this? What? What am I doing? How many of you had Bimba? Talking about that. Ferris jumping in. He's putting the last sequence to the Titanic music and posting it on TikTok. Perfect Jordan Poole vibes. Yeah, well, Ferris, why don't you follow me on TikTok? And then can you send it to me on TikTok if you're following me, or if I just follow you, it'll show up there? I don't know. I don't have many followers on TikTok. I used to just watch, people dancing and stuff. But it's great for sports. It's great for a lot of things. It's great at the gym. TikTok. How's that? I like it because you can get like I want maybe some bicep exercises. You got 100 dudes, 100 girls, 100 guys on there that will take you through step by step. This is what you want to do. To squeeze that, and then after 20 seconds of them giving you like the form and everything else, it goes right back. And I like that better than YouTube, where you'd have to. It just doesn't reset. TikTok's quicker. Jesse. CBS has a bias against Michigan. Josh Pate and Rick Neuheisel. Yeah, Tracy Wolfson. Why is she out there? She's such a anti-Michigan. She's so anti-Michigan. I don't. Unless you're somebody that is on YouTube, most people don't know who Josh Pate is. I mean, I think he does a football show. He's a national podcaster at his football show. But I've never watched one of his shows. He's really popular. I didn't know he was anti-Michigan. I thought he was fair, but I don't know. Like I haven't watched him. But this isn't true. This is a biased thing that Michigan and Rick Neuheisel. Anybody that says anything against Michigan, everybody, he's biased against Michigan. I think sometimes you need to step. I let people have you want your biases. You hate Rick Neuheisel, whatever else he says. He's a talk show host. He's got to rile people up. He can't pat everybody on the head and always just say great things about Michigan. You can't be. Not everybody can be Desmond Howard. Then pick Michigan and Charles Woodson. Pick Michigan every single time. Now, that's the kind of guys that you want on the broadcast. Hadley. Anyone that picked Michigan to go this far and get to the Big Ten champs is a genius. I wasn't one of them, though. I didn't fill out a bracket this year, Hadley, so I was working this tournament as Michigan has had a good year. They've really spiraled downward and faded down the stretch. And the way they were playing, I thought they were going to lose in the first round of the tournament yesterday. And I thought they were going to lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament. That's how it looked. Those were the markings, everything, the turnovers, just the guard play. There wasn't anything. They looked worn out. Donaldson looked gassed. Wolf looked gassed. It just wasn't happening. The only guy you could trust was Vlad. I didn't see it. Now, I thought if they won a game or two in Indy or a game or two in the NCAA tournament, it takes hey, this was a nice season, and just like multiplies it into this colorful cornucopia of, fun. And that's what they've done. That's what the tournament does. I'm with you on that. I don't know what's going on there. I thought you were talking about Mike Mayock. Maybe he doesn't like Michigan either. Let's line up to get people that are really biased against Michigan. Rips is asking, how are we going to replace Vlad next year? Well, they've been bringing in some big men. One from, Yugoslavia. They brought in a couple guys from overseas over the last couple weeks. Big men, 7'1", 7 feet. They're going to go to the transfer portal. That's what they're going to do. FL is saying he knew Wolf would miss that last free throw because he took a weak, nervous relaxer breath, and the pressure looked so obvious. Danny Wolf looked like Rocky in like the 12th round against Clubber Lang, or he was sitting over there. He's got a hamburger over his eye. His face is completely red. He looks like if you gave him a standing 8 count, he might fall over. So yeah, he was breathing pretty heavy. He wasn't those other ones, and to his credit, he made those. So yeah, that's it. Let's get down here. Let's go. Matthew's excited. Shimey is talking about good luck tomorrow. I wish we could have played you guys a third time. Well, Shimey, I thought that was a pretty entertaining game. Michigan State and Wisconsin. And I was thinking that they were going to play a third time if Michigan won. But, here we are. But it's nice to see that from you. I don't know what that is. Terrence has got amazing. I like the emoji game here. I'm not familiar with. How do you get that M going? And what are these stars that are maize and blue or something? I'm not familiar with your emoji game. A little bit older here. I mean, I get these. I see these all the time. The maize and blue hearts, and this one down here, the Michigan with the long M. I don't know what that is, a lightning bolt, but Michigan uses that one. I like that one. When I was at that Maryland game, I noticed that a lot of people, am I doing the Michigan? I have a hard time. Should be pretty easy. I saw the Wisconsin fans doing it. So there's a W. So you just turn it around. It's just, I think my arms work. I thought I was coordinated enough to, flash a pretty sweet Michigan sign, but it needs work. And that's it. Look, I got the W looks very easy, so just turn it around. But my thumbs just don't seem like they're making the coolest. And it looks like there we go. Now I'm gonna work on it. Practice. It's probably a TikTok for that. Say, hey, this is how you do it. And then you watch it, you're like, oh, hey, you can flash a pretty sweet M. And then do it. AT in the house. Close call, literally took away when Gayle or Jones are around the ball. Woo! 5 Will Cheddars will get you fired. Yeah. Should I do something if Michigan wins tomorrow? I feel like there should be a little bit of a party going on somehow, some way. Matthew is now fully, pump it up, Dusty May. I'll tell you, over on the Maize and Blue review, there's a game thread during the game. And when Michigan was up 15, people are, pretty shocked and everything. And then Maryland made their run, and wow, the vitriol towards Dusty May, not using a timeout, not going inside, not using his timeouts, not stopping those runs. What is he doing? He doesn't know what's going on. Why is Rody Gayle in the game? I mean, over and over and over, the Gayle, the turnovers, the lack of timeouts, the lack of execution, the lack of play calling, the ability to get the ball inside the Gayle to let the Turks back in the game was malpractice from a lot of people, the way they were watching the game. And honestly, when Michigan, I was a little shocked. They were up 15 just a minute or two into the second half. I was going to blow the door. I was going to blow the doors off of Maryland. It's like at that point, you're just hoping that, could you just speed this up to the last 3 minutes of the game? Let's go. There's so much time. You knew Maryland was going to make some kind of run. Hadley says if Michigan wins, Dusty will be the first coach in his first year to win this tournament. Well, Michigan won the tournament, the first ever tournament there was. Was that 99, Hadley? With Brian Ellerby as the head coach. Now, that wasn't his first year, but he didn't have a chance to play in the tournament. So I don't know if this first coach in his first year. So that's it. So Ellerby wasn't in his first year. I don't think he wasn't in his first year. But he wasn't his first tournament. So there you go. Yeah, look, if Michigan wins the Big Ten tournament tomorrow, I think there should be a little bit of a party. I think there should be a little bit of a celebration. I think there should be some confetti. There should be some T-shirts. There should be some hats. There should be some nets being cut down. There will be some nets being cut down. Now, I'm not ready. I love a parade. I mean, parades are for championships, but not, regular season championships and conference tournament championships. But Hadley, maybe it's time to get one of those Dusty May Big Ten tournament title champ shirts. That's it. I think we're going around with kind of the same kind of stuff. Let's get to a few more here. Jesse's responding to something I said earlier. Jesse, I'm sorry. I was yelling and acting goofy earlier. I apologize for anything. Everything you said, you've got a good point. I don't remember what it is now. Abraham says getting out of the Big Ten is going to help us a lot. Teams can't match up with the Area 51. Good luck. Yeah, there was a point in the game where Grant Hill and Raff were just talking about the officials, and they were talking about the size of the players in the Big Ten. And Hill's like, I don't know, does any other conference have these kind of bigs? And I don't know, Raff seemed like, no. And there's a lot of conversation about how the Big Ten refs screw Big Ten teams overall when they get into the tournament by the way they officiate the games. But as the Big Ten overall, do they have mostly, size that they're dealing with, which makes it, I know people don't like to hear it, makes it more difficult to blow the whistle. And then, the fans all think, well, this is the reason our refs suck. And then it affects us when we get into the NCAA tournament, because you've got shorter teams. But to your point, Abraham, which is not the point I'm making right now, is that if Michigan is playing a mid-major, they're going to see Area 51 and they're going to go running. There's an advantage there. Although Danny Wolf seems like he should be able to take advantage better. They put sometimes 6'2", 6'4" guys on him. I'm like, take him down low. But I tell you, Wolf in these last 2 days, he has gone to this. He's gone to this spin, and it looks so smooth. It looks just so effortless to him. You just chalk it up. You get it to him, and he puts a spin on. You're like, oh, spin cycle. It's count it. When he goes through it, and I know a little bit through the year, but it's his bread and butter move right now. When I see it and I see him going to it, I'm like, oh, that's Wolf's move. And Golden, pretty much, when you talk about Golden, he can score from anywhere. That's what I like about him. He'll rock the rim. He can turn and fire with a hook face, and he'll throw it off the glass. He'll also just drop it in. He'll do the same thing from the left side. He's active defensively. He's a rim protector, and he's been doing a hell of a job rebounding as well. I mean, how about Big Vlad in the way that he played? Let's see what he ended up here. 14, 21, and no, that was Wolf, 21 and 14, 25 and 10 for Mad Vlad. That's a good question. Do I think Michigan will move up a seed? Yeah, I mean, if they're a 6, I think they're a 5. I think if they win tomorrow, they could be a 4. Now, if you're somebody that is totally entrenched in bracketology, so, oh no, Lenardi already said, then I acquiesce to you. That's my feel on it. That was my feel heading in, that if Michigan won a game, they could be a 5. They win 2, they could win. They could be a 4. But the way that these guys that sit around in those hotel rooms and do the bracketology, these guys have already got their minds made up of where they want everybody. Tomorrow, it's just a party. Tomorrow, they're like just figuring out, how much blue cheese and how many hot wings and how many steaks and stuff they're going to eat before it all comes out. It's over. Miranda, poor officiated game. Yep. Talking seeding, Lord Dog says, I'd say 4, maybe a 3 with a win tomorrow. Yeah, maybe. Raul saying he blames Vlad for giving the ball to Wolf. Yeah, that's what somebody else said. Why did he do that? Maybe, he should have held on to it himself. Was he worried that there was going to be a 5-second call? Was it a handoff? I hear you. Here's some statistical stuff for you from FL. He says, according to ESPN, 1 turnover has the cost of approximately 0.5 points. So 20 turnovers cost 10 points. Yeah. Cartier is in. And Cartier says Kaysen played terrible. If Donaldson and Burnett come to play and Gayle, this team can win it all, especially if they get anything with the bench. We all know Golden and Wolf are great players. When you say win it all, are we talking about tomorrow win it all? Because I'm with you. I think that if Donaldson and Burnett come to play and Gayle, that they can win it all, that they can beat Wisconsin, that they can be cutting down the nets tomorrow. But, you start talking about winning it all, I don't know if you're talking about winning it all. Is that what we're talking about? Where we're at? Evan, talking about the officials, saying they're professionals. They should be used to officiating in hectic environments. Yeah, well, the thing with me is that every game that I watch, fans are all pulling their hair out, whatever side loses, especially about the officials and how they suck and how can they do this, and this is the worst, and it happens all the time, and it's like, so it happens every game. I think there's always 12 calls. Now today there was more. Today there seemed like there was just too many towards Queen. These guys were just like in love with Queen. Enough already. Like these guys were in love with Derek Queen. Oh, he's 6'10", and all right. Talking about the officials. Evan says Wolf is their best player. Yeah, you want to make that argument? It's all right. And I just give you my opinion, Evan. If you were sitting here, you could say Wolf, and you could make that argument. So, but I think I thought it's Vlad, and kind of like one without the other. They both, they feed off of another. But I can see how you get Mason. And I'll tell you, before these last 5 games, everybody out there would have agreed with you. But then the last 5 games, you got to admit that Vlad took a giant step forward, and Danny Wolf's play really fell off. So, but both of them were pretty good today. Besides Wolf blowing those free throw front end. Bimba talking about CBS. He didn't like the no replays in the first half. They were very poor today. Yeah, I can't say that I was thinking, I wanted to see that. I go back and watch it myself and control it. So I get that. Yeah, I know the reason why people don't like Neuheisel. I understand why people don't like Paul Feinbaum. Here's the way I look at it, Jesse. Those guys, they got you. I mean, those guys sit up there. They're entertainers. They like saying, negative things about Michigan because guys like you and other Michigan fans send them hundreds of, feedbacks, excuse me, telling them, what jackasses they are. And so it just emboldens them to say more stuff, about Michigan because, they get a lot of feedback from it. They love it. So it's one of those things that go over and over, Then Michigan wins it. And what happens? Paul Feinbaum says, you got to really credit Michigan. Everybody's like, what? I was waiting for this day to shove it down his throat, But I get it, I'm fighting a losing battle here, and I'm all right to lose it. Jeff is talking about regular season compared to postseason. He says he agrees is the regular season is more valuable slightly. He says, however, Michigan built this team from the ground up, basically. Well, that's a great point. Jeff, Michigan being able to do this with 11 new players, 8 transfers, it really is something. It's a good reminder to go back myself to before the season started. I didn't think that Michigan would make the tournament. I didn't see when I looked at all the players. Danny Wolf played at Yale, and he had one good season. He was all right. I bet he was something spectacular. Vlad was pretty good for FAU, but was Vlad going to be able to transfer up, and was he going to be some dominant player? I had my questions about that. Trey Donaldson was a role player coming off the bench for Auburn. You're going to hand him the ball and have him play 30 minutes. Same thing with when you really went down, Walters didn't play much for Bama. Reuben Jones, he played a lot, but we're talking about North Texas. Rody Gayle played, 2 years at Ohio State. I watched all the games. He never jumped out like, oh, that's really a player I would want on my team. Burnett had one good half last year. He came in, I was thinking, I didn't see it. So it's a good thing to think about when it comes down to it. Spaghetti sauce. How did we give up that lead? A 14-0 run. That's how they did it. Spaghetti Steve, not sauce. He's saying if we lose tomorrow, we can at least go into the tournament with good momentum instead of no momentum. Yeah, they won 2 games. This is I think you feel good. I feel good. I feel pretty good about Selection Sunday. I feel good about Michigan. There was I think that, I don't know if I had to put a percentage on it. I think 90% of Michigan fans were looking at the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament as Michigan not winning a game. And if they won one, hey, they'd be happy. If they won 2 games, they'd be like, whoa, okay, anything can happen. You're here for it. But I don't think there was a lot of expectations. I think it reminded me a little bit of Michigan playing Alabama in the ReliaQuest Bowl. Of course you're going to watch. Of course you want Michigan to win. You'd be happy as anything if they went out there, but you weren't expecting it. And then Michigan went out there and, ran out to the lead the way they did, 16-0 in the first quarter against Alabama. I was like, wow, this is a shocker. And it was awesome. Sam pointing out that it was not a first tournament for Ellerby, the way it was like for Dusty. Bimba, good to see you. It's fun. CR coming in and saying, no, he was talking about winning it all. He clarifies. He thinks that Michigan can win it all. Now look, I don't know. Let's back up a little bit. I got to see the draw. That's always I'll tell you, that is an easy thing to do when you are talking. You got to see the draw. You got to see the matchups before we talk about winning it all. But I tell you, if you're going to need them all, so we're talking about this guy's key, that guy's key. Area 51 has to be a dominant duo, and they can be. They were today. They put up 46 and 24 combined. That's pretty dominant. Trey Donaldson has put back-to-back good games together. Burnett, he's the kind of guy that you want on a championship team. He can get hot. He can shoot you into some games. Nice quiver to have there in that starting lineup. I'd say the same thing about Cheddar. Kind of guy coming off the bench, guts and glue, heart and soul, tough. You can win with him. So then you're coming down to Gayle and Jones and Kaysen. And 2 out of those 3 guys are going to have to really play well. We're talking about winning it all. Probably you're talking about getting Walters from this back injury. I don't know. Walters, and it was like, or Pippen. Would I take a Sweet 16 right now? Michigan gets through the first 2 games of the NCAA tournament. You can have it. It's being presented to you. It's being presented to me. You take it right now. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but you could take a Sweet 16. I am very tempted to just take it. Because Sweet 16s are not, Sweet 16s are nice. I know that Michigan State was celebrating a run of some Sweet 16s for, I don't remember. Wasn't weren't they like the, hey, I call it Sweet 16s, but Sweet 16s are nice. I am tempted to just take the Sweet 16 right now. Sam talking about the weather. Was anybody else annoyed? Yeah. I was annoyed. My dog doesn't like the thunder. And then whenever there's the beep, beep, it isn't like that. So yeah, that drives me nuts. But it's also, if you don't pay any attention to anything, I don't know, if you're watching a game downstairs or something, all of a sudden you have no idea, and you're like, maybe it's good to have it. But I hear you. Here's Josh. He's new. We'll take a few more here. I thought I'd go on for an hour. Celebrate Michigan getting into the championship game. Josh is giving kudos out to Michigan. Their last 2 games have been a 180 from how they've looked the last month. They didn't give up on themselves or the season, regardless of what happens tomorrow. That means something. Very nicely done, Josh. I'm right with you on that. Vaughn's first delivery says this year is more than anyone could have ever think would have been possible for the first year, ! Making the tournament is huge. Another ! That's it. Scott coming in late, talking about Area 51 playing well. That's it. We have to readjust our tourney expectations, Elite 8 or bust. Yeah, not so fast, Fancy Lion. I think if Michigan, anything was going to be a bonus, to be honest, before this Big Ten tournament, any win was going to be big for them. So just even if they would have just beat Purdue, that was nice. Now they've got 2 wins. It's doubly nice. They can win a championship. That you can never take that away from them. And these guys will be coming back for the next 25 years, and they'll say, let's bring out that 2024-25 Michigan Big Ten tournament team. And you'll have old Danny Wolf. I don't know, 25 years he won't be coming out there with a cane. Maybe I will. Fancy Lion will be ripping them. That's all right. Or having fun with them. BK will be talking about the officials. Whew. We're talking about Phil Martelli. Just read that the refs missed Maryland trying to call a timeout when they had none, and it should have been a technical. Yeah. Hey, let's finish it up like this. Let me try. Michigan wins an amazing game in the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament. They had a 4-point lead at the half, got up to a 15-point lead early in the second half. But Maryland, mostly on bad calls by the officials, were able to get back into this game. And then Michigan looked like they were going to be able to overcome the bad whistle. But then the officials went over the top with trying to get Maryland into the championship game, but Michigan still is able to prevail despite the Zebras having money on the game and wanting Maryland and showing their anti-Michigan bias like CBS and a number of people that work for them. Despite all of that, Michigan is able to overcome the officials, the gamblers, the sports books, the negativity from even their own fans. And they put themselves into the Big Ten tournament title game. 3:30 tomorrow against Wisconsin. We'll see you after the game. Thanks so much, everyone. I was having fun with everyone. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy Selection Sunday. We'll talk with you after the game. Michigan head to the title game, 81-80 over Maryland. They'll play Whiskey tomorrow. So long, everybody.